Good evening. This is Joe Iacono with GoBlackKnights.com here with Vossschulte and Donovan Baker, two of the newest commits with the Army West Point class, recruiting class of 2023. Both getting ready to start their, or are you guys 2022? Let me
2022.
2022. Okay. So both two of the newest commits with 2022 getting ready to wrap up their senior year of high school and head on over to West Point or the prep school. I know I've got some background. Neo, you're going to be going to West Point prep first. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And Donovan, you're entering direct, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Both great experiences for both of you. So we'll just start with some vitals so the listeners here at GoBlackKnights.com can get to know you guys a little bit. Neo, we'll start with you first, just because you're on my left, no other reason. I'll go left to right.
All right, cool.
Neo, just start with, where you go to high school, what position you play, and some of your best stats maybe from your senior year for football, and as well as for track, because one of the things we want to highlight in this interview is you guys both had outstanding track careers in high school as well. So definitely dual sport athletes, maybe three sport athletes for all I know, but just give the listeners a little background on you and what you did from an athletic standpoint in high school and where you went to school.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Neo Vossschulte. I currently am attending the Episcopal Academy in Newtown Square, Pennsylvania. I play wide receiver. I've been playing wide receiver ever since I was a little kid. So I'm pretty experienced in the position. Like you were saying, Joe, I've had a very successful track season. Unfortunately, I was hurt the majority of my senior year of football due to a torn hamstring. But I was able to score. I was able to score a couple of touchdowns here and there, and get the receiving yards that we needed. Track-wise, though, currently I'm number 12 in the state for the 100-meter dash, and I am number 11 for the 200-meter dash in Pennsylvania. Currently, 200-meter dash with a time of 21:9 officially, and the 100-meter dash with a time of 10:83. Those are like two very large milestones I wanted to hit in my high school career, which was sub 11 in the 100 and sub 22 in the 200. But yeah, I think I'm really just excited to get going. I'm 6'4", 205 pounds. So moving at my size is something that's very important to me. So I'm just ready to get to work.
Awesome. Good stuff. Donovan, same thing. Give the listeners some background on you, where you go to school, what you did from a football and track standpoint, and anything else kind of you want to let everybody know.
Definitely. My name is Donovan Baker, and I attend Woodbury Forest School. It's a boarding school in Central Virginia. I'm a running back. Well, I'll be a slot back at West Point. About $190. And a highlight from also like Neo, I tweaked my ankle in the second game of the year, so I was out for a little bit. But a highlight of my football season was beating our rivals, Episcopal High School from Alexandria, Virginia. We have same name. But we have a similar rivalry like the Army-Navy game. It's been going on for over, 120 years. And we're on a 5-year losing streak. So we snapped that this year. So It's definitely a big highlight from the football season. And from a track standpoint, just like Neo, it was very important for me to break sub 11. And this track season's been interesting. I'm not going to lie. I actually only ran in total 3 100s this year and only one 200, well, 2 200s. But yesterday, the power went out. We always ran it. Every single meet this year has been in the rain. So the power went out on the timing system. So they didn't get my 200. But right now, the first meet I clocked in 10.93 for my 100 and also a 22.13 in my 200. So we have states upcoming this weekend. And obviously my goal is to crack that 22 barrier and then just to improve in the 100. So with track, it's been crazy. I saw Neo at Nationals in New York for indoor and even at Penn Relays. And, it's just been an honor and a blessing for all the experiences I've had with track with the short amount of time I've been running.
Awesome. Have you guys ever raced against each other?
Not in the same heat,
Yeah, not in the same heat, but we have competed in similar events. I think indoor was the 4x200, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And then for outdoor, which was Penn Relays, which is the 4x100 meters. So.
Okay. Whose team finished better in those two relays?
Well, so for the indoor national championship for my team, I'll let Donovan talk about his team, but we dropped the baton at the national level. Yeah. So that was pretty tough. At Penn Relays though, we were able to clock in our PR school record and our league record, which was a 42.3, which is a great time for our school. We only have about 400 kids in our high school. So wow. that was a really great time for us to hit. So that was a school record and a league record for us this year in the 4x1. So.
Okay.
And then for me, so, I mean, what's a relay without drama? So in New York, you know, our second leg actually DQ'd because I think he took more than like 3 steps in a different lane during the exchange. So like our time would have qualified for finals, but that 3 steps outside of his lane kind of disqualified us. So that was very, you know, heartbreaking, but you know, we ran well, so I can't complain, and I, you know, got the experience. So that's really all I wanted to do and get out of that. And then for Penn Relays, I honestly don't know the exact time we ran, but in our division we won and took home the gold medal. And then yesterday we had our prep league championship, and I think we clocked in around 42.2, which was like a prep league meet record. So that was it's kind of crazy that we beat that. I never would have. And it's crazy because like our first leg, our normal first leg got hurt in one of his jumps. So we had to get a quick filler, and you know, he did his job, and we went out and competed and won. So that was amazing that he could have, you know, my teammate could adapt like that. But yeah.
Well, that's awesome, Donovan. And you said you guys are competing in the States next week. Where is that meet for if we have any fans in Virginia that want to go check that on out? Where can you let us know where that is?
Yes, sir. It's in Richmond at the Sports Breakers Field. I think VCU runs there. It's going to be an exciting meet. I hope it doesn't storm. Right now in the forecast, it has thunderstorms, but hopefully that passes through.
Cool. Well, both you guys, obviously with your speed and size, you know, a lot of our recruits at West Point sometimes we're maybe the only D1 offer they have. I'm guessing you guys with your speed and size probably had some other offers. Neo, why don't you go through maybe what some of your other offers were outside of Army?
West Point was my very first offer to come through. I mean, I actually accepted it pretty early. So I kind of shut down a lot of other schools that were kind of coming my way, because West Point was really the school I wanted to go with. I think West Point being the very first school to recognize my ability and athleticism, I think kind of will always hold a special place in my heart. I feel like them being the first school to kind of recognize that really made me want to take the jump on them. I had a lot of very heavy interests from Ivy schools, Harvard, Yale, Columbia. I took visits to all 3, not official, unofficial. I attended those camps. I was talking to Penn State for a little bit. Penn State was talking to me about PWO kind of materials, things like that, later in the year, because COVID kind of
Oh snap!
Well, we just lost them. I'll let them. You know what? That's part of the game when we're doing.
Yeah.
I'll let them hopefully dial back in. But we'll go right to you, Donovan. Why don't you tell me about some of the other offers you have, and then since Neo's out, if you could just let me know, you know, what it was about West Point and the Army football program specifically that made you decide to commit there.
Definitely. So I actually had one game junior season, and I'm very grateful for that game because that really put me on the map. I had 277 yards and 4 touchdowns in 3 quarters. So that game really propelled my recruiting, and my first offer was actually from UPenn, and then that attracted even more Ivy. So I ended up getting Brown and blinking out on the rest. But I got a few Ivy League offers, Georgetown. And then some of the bigger schools that were looking at me were Wake Forest and Duke. But, you know, with the transfer portal and the lack of film and everyone having an extra year of eligibility, spots filled up really fast, and that kind of shut down quickly. And then I was actually very heavily interested in Villanova. And so the funny story is, as soon as I got out of school last year, so early June, I took a visit up to Villanova and West Point on that same road trip. And I went to Villanova first, and I wasn't too thrilled about it. It kind of felt cold, and it just didn't feel like home to me. And then like the next day we went up to West Point, and I actually come from an Army family, so I kind of came into the culture and just I loved it. Just it's what I've been around my whole life. Everyone was in unity. They moved with the purpose, and that's something I really liked. The coaches talked to me and wanted to get to know me on a personal level, and that's something I really valued. And I actually walked out of that visit wanting to commit. I told my parents, I think this is home. I can feel it in my gut. And they were like, hold off a little bit. And then a few weeks later, I pulled the trigger, and I knew that place was for me, and I committed.
Awesome. And who were the primary coaches that were recruiting you?
So Coach Gaithers was actually the primary coach. He left and went to UVA, but I also talked to Coach Walla and then now Coach Nichols.
Great.
Which are both great guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, interesting enough, you mentioned Villanova, right? Because Army has a home game against Villanova this year. So
yeah,
maybe you'll get the dress for that game, and who knows. So you said you'll probably be coming in as a slot back. Of course, cadets change positions a lot at West Point and everything else. What do you think you're excited about? Right now at Army. Don't know how many of our games you got to see the last year or two, but we have probably one of the best slot backs I've seen at West Point since I've been there in Tyrell Robinson, who's an absolute superstar. So, what do you see about the excitement of playing that position in this offense?
One thing I'm looking forward to is I see that Army's throwing the ball a little bit more, and that's very, exciting for me because I feel like I have. Yeah,
I was going to ask Neo about being a wide blocker at Army. But hopefully he'll come back and I can ask him that. So
yeah. But I'm just excited to get up there and just work with guys that have a purpose. It's a business. College football is a business, and I'm surrounded by like-minded people. So I'm just excited for that, and then to learn from guys like Tyrell Robinson, Bree Murphy, just to further my game and better my game, and so I can produce and make an impact for the team.
Yeah. And I know it sounds like you go to a pretty difficult high school from an academic standpoint. And I know, you took the ACTs and everything. How do you feel like what you did in high school will prepare you for the academic piece of West Point, which is really what ends up, being the difference between whether great athletes can play all 4 years at West Point is can they handle the academic piece of it?
Definitely. And like you said, with that, I think the school really prepared me well for West Point because, here you have to have good time management skills, be mature and be disciplined. This school is just set up like a college. It's not like a high school that has classes 8 through 3. You can have free periods one day. You might not even have class. So you just have to, use your time wisely. And the courses here are pretty rigorous. We even have Saturday classes to kind of one up everyone. So I'm used to that. That 6 day.
That's good that you're used to that because they're obviously not during football season. You won't have to worry about that. But in the spring semester, you may have some tests, what we call WPRs on Saturday morning. So you're used to it already. So that's good.
Yeah. So hopefully, it's Kate. But this place really prepared me well. I'm so grateful that, I came here and, made the most of it.
Cool. Do you also plan on going out for track and field at West Point in the spring?
I haven't really thought of that. And honestly, I think maybe I kind of want to stick with football. I honestly want to be the best football player I can be. But if, track can fit into the schedule and I can see that it will benefit me, I would definitely look into it.
Yeah, then you don't have to make a decision on that now. And I apologize if I put you on the spot with that at all.
No,
but I know we had a kid from down here in Georgia who graduated a couple of years ago, super smart. He's at Stanford Medical School now. His name was Kenny Brinson, outside linebacker on the football team, and was a great, I think, shot put and discus guy on the track team, actually. So cool. Well, I saw where my publisher, Charles Grievous, had sent me some notes kind of prep for the interview and stuff. And I saw where you had a pretty unique story around taking the ACT the day of a track meet. Why don't you let our listeners in on that a little bit? Tell us about that super eventful day for you.
Definitely. So obviously, yeah, that day was crazy, and I'll forever remember it, because not only that I had a track meet, which was the prep indoor meet, so it was a pretty big meet, but I also had a winter ball that evening. So it was a early wake up and a late night. So just to walk you through my day, I woke up around 7, to prepare for the ACT, and here comes Neo.
Yep, he's back.
So
we're just going to keep rolling. This is good, because now that Neo's back, once you're done answering this question, you can kind of put yourself on mute for a minute, and I'll go. Oh, there he is. I'll probably focus mostly on him. But go ahead. You're prepping for the ACT, and you had to wake up super early. Go ahead.
Right. So yeah, I get in, I take the test, and knowing that I'm missing out on a few events at the track meet, and then I have to get to the dance. And so, I make it through the test, and there's like a van waiting right outside the building for me. And I rush to the track meet, which is like an hour and a half away. I get there, perform, we win great things. And then I rush to the dance, late for both, but, made it to both, and it was a great night.
Good. Well, that's probably maybe the thing I thought that was really cool about that story when I read it in the email from Charles is I was like, oh, Donovan will be well prepared for West Point, because that's pretty much 180 days a year at West Point and what that looks like. Maybe not with a dance, but you have a couple of those, but you'll have other stuff going on. So really cool. So Neo, can you hear us now? Back full time?
Yeah. I
okay,
can.
Cool.
My phone's like in and out, so that's my bad.
Okay. Well, if we drop you again, we're ready to adapt. No big deal.
All right.
One of the things I'd asked Donovan as I followed up with him about who was recruiting him and everything, what at the end of the day kind of I know you said, I think West Point was your first offer, and that was one of the things that excited you and why you decided to go there. If you could tell us a little bit about the coaches who were recruiting you, and what eventually at the end of the day made you kind of sign on the dotted line and pick West Point.
Yeah, I'll try and make it quick just in case I get lost again. Well, Coach Luce and Coach Gaither, who's no longer with the West Point coaching staff, but Coach Luce was my primary recruiter. They were just very, very persistent and extremely loving of a staff. I think West Point really stood out to me because all my visits and things, the facilities are just of that of a Power 5 school. And the education is that of an Ivy school. So you kind of get the best of both worlds, which is kind of surreal to kind of like think that there's even a school like that with those kind of opportunities. You get to play big time football against some big time schools. You get to play against the greatest rivalry in America. Yep. You get to play for the best school in that rivalry. But you get to but yeah, I just think the staff was extremely loving and extremely persistent, constant no cards in the mail, constantly. It wasn't even about me almost like half the time. They would check up on my family and my brother and my mom and my dad. And that means a lot to me, especially coming from an athlete's perspective. They don't just care about me, but they care about like my family's well-being and things like that. So it was just different than other schools, because other schools kind of just wanted me for my athletic ability and speed and size, like you had mentioned. But West Point seemed to have wanted me more than just that. It was almost like a character kind of thing. Is well, they look for individuals that are extremely athletic, but individuals that also have great character. And I think that's something that was extremely important to me. Just being around other individuals with that like mindset and like characteristics is something that I really valued and something that really stuck out to me, something that no other school really has, to be honest. So.
Awesome. Yeah. I've heard, obviously through my years working with GoBlackKnights.com here all through last season, what a family oriented program we have up in Army. So that's really exciting. And I can certainly see that. So Neo, got to ask you this question though, being a wide receiver coming into our offense, right? Donovan and I were kind of joking about it. We are opening up the offense a little more. Of course, if you ask Coach Monken, every time we ask him in a press conference about that, he says, well, if I have to throw the ball at all, we're not running it very well. So if we were up to Coach Monken, we would never put the ball in the air ever. That being said, we are opening it up some more. you know, that I'm sure you've heard the jokes that at Army wide receivers are just wide blockers.
Yep.
What are you excited about playing the triple option offense and kind of, you know, being that you've been a receiver your whole life, where do you see yourself fitting in?
Yeah, I mean, I think when West Point does throw the ball, they're usually these big, deep shots, big plays. And I mean, those are the best kind of plays to have. I mean, not many wide receivers really want to run slants into linebackers anyway. So it's not,
Right.
I think my high school offense is very run heavy. So I'm actually very used to blocking on the perimeter. And it's something that we really reinforced and something that we really took seriously. So I mean, I'm ready, and it can make a huge difference. Corners don't like to tackle. So I think even giving them more of a hassle to get to the backers, or if I have to, you know, move inside and clip an outside linebacker or free safety, strong safety, I'm ready and willing to do that. I think that's also why West Point recruits these bigger builded receivers, so they can just kind of just make their impact strength wise and size wise as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm ready for the blocking. I'm ready to put some people on their butt, and I'm ready. I'm also ready to, you know, get the occasional deep ball. I think the speed will come in handy for that. So yeah, I have heard the jokes, but I'm really excited to see what I can do on the perimeter. So
No, that's really cool. It sounds like you'll be a great fit, actually. You know, I don't know if they still do it or not, but I know when Coach Gaither was there, they used to award boxing gloves to the wide receivers for every knockdown they would get. So pretty cool, pretty unique. There's not a lot of, I don't know if Alabama and Georgia are awarding boxing gloves to their receivers for knockdowns.
Exactly.
So yeah, with all that being said, we're kind of going to get ready to wrap up now. You know, and Neo kind of, I'll ask you a similar question to what I asked Donovan. Him coming in as a slot back, if he's seen any Army games recently, has the opportunity to see in my opinion, one of our best slot backs we've had at Army, and Tyrell Robinson. And if you got to see us at all last year, you've got the opportunity to watch Isaiahlston, who I think is maybe one of our most talented receivers we've ever had. So, you know, what about Isaiah's game and what you've watched about him can you kind of learn from as you go forward at the prep school and then on to West Point?
Yeah, I've talked to Isaiah a couple times. Isaiah is a phenomenal athlete. I think he really uses his height to an advantage when, you know, a lot of people kind of make the excuse, well, oh, he could just catch that because he's tall. But even though you're tall, you still need to know how to use your body. He really knows how to use his body and position himself to make a great catch. He had a catch on Wake Forest this year that was one-handed. And it's almost like he was like playing basketball, kind of boxing someone out and just going and getting the ball. He also plays with this kind of we preach it at our school, but he plays with this kind of shark mentality, and sharks like how we preach it at our high school is, you know, sharks only go forward, they never go backwards. And I think that's the kind of mindset that Isaiah plays with. I think, you know, he's like 185, 190 pounds. But he's just quick off the ball, and he always, whenever he comes off the ball, you can never really tell if he's blocking or if he's running a route. And I think that's the best kind of like go-to rule for every receiver is just, you know, it's a vert until it's not. And Isaiah makes the plays count. So like you mentioned how, you know, they'll throw the occasional ball, but majority of the time is blocking. When that ball's thrown, Isaiah's catching it. And so I think he really makes those big plays count. And I mean, that can be tough for some guys to do in a big scenario, in a big setting like that with a lot of pressure, when you kind of only get once in a while opportunities to get the ball, but he really makes them count. So that's something that I'm really hoping to replicate from his game. I've been watching him, and I've been looking up to him. So I think that would be the biggest takeaway from his game is that he never misses an opportunity. He really doesn't. He makes it all count.
He's dangerous in one-on-one. You're right. That Wake Forest game, I mean, he's going up against Power 5 corners, and just they had no answer for him. They couldn't.
Absolutely.
Everybody wants to talk about the 70 points Wake scored on Army, but I'm like, Army put up 56 themselves, so that wasn't awful. But
exactly.
So okay, so wrapping up, Donovan, we'll go back to you. You know, as I interview, two more questions, really. The first one is something that's just come up recently in the last 3 or 4 years at Army. And it was an opportunity that my classmates who played football never really had, anybody prior to maybe 2019 never had. But now we've got between active rosters in the NFL and players who got picked up this year as undrafted free agents or mini camp invites, right around 10 cadets or graduates of West Point that are on NFL rosters. Ali Villanueva just retired from the NFL as an all-pro. We've got Elijah Riley, Cole Christensen, John Radigan. We've got a bunch of kids from this year's team who got shots with NFL teams. Donovan, I'll ask you first. Is that something, does that opportunity excite you at all? Is that something that entered your mind at all? Or are you mostly just focused on getting through West Point, being a great Army officer, or kind of both?
Honestly, both. The kind of mindset I have going in is like, I'm just going to let whatever happens happen. If, everything lines up for me to have the opportunity in the league, obviously I'm going to pursue it. But if not, I'm totally fine. And I'm just going to dedicate my life to being the best Army officer I can be. But yeah, like kind of what Neo said, like I kind of, adopt this like shark mentality. It's a little different from yours. Like always, yeah, go forward. But, when a shark stops swimming, it dies. So I'm just keep working, keep going and see what happens.
How about you, Neo? Has that interested you at all? The fact that now you can be a West Point grad and an NFL football player.
Yeah, it kind of what I had mentioned earlier before I cut out. I mean, it seriously there's like you can't really like name an opportunity that West Point doesn't give you. And so I think kind of what Donovan was saying, if the opportunity presents itself, and I'm blessed with the chance to practice with the NFL squad or get drafted, or I mean, obviously I'll pursue it. However, I do think I'll always have this immense respect for the military. And so I think I'm also going to be able to really pursue that officer career that Donovan was mentioning. And I think even in the NFL, I think I would use that platform I'm given to advocate for the military and the officers involved. So yeah, I mean, honestly, if I could just steal Donovan's answer, I would say the exact same thing. So yeah.
Very cool. Last question, then I'll let you guys go. So, this is something when I was interviewing Malcolm Morrison, some of the guys who got NFL shots recently, one of my favorite sayings is, I read a lot of John Maxwell. He's a great leadership author. He's spoken at West Point. One of my favorite sayings of his is, you ever see a turtle sitting on a fence post, it didn't get there by itself. So, no man or woman is an island unto themselves. There's a lot of people who have, contributed to people's success in a lot of cases. Donovan, any, your parents, any coaches, teachers, anyone else you'd like to thank, give a shout out to real quick before we get off the air?
Definitely. Of course. Thank you to my parents, and shout out to Coach Braswell and Coach Mateo. They definitely pushed me to be the best athlete, and also a special shout out to my track coach, Coach Phillips, who I spent a lot of time with. I spent 2 seasons with him per year, and he's also my advisor here at my school. So I talk to him a lot just about life and just being an athlete, just how to be a better athlete, if that's to nutrition or how to recover. He's always giving me good insight, and and just thank you to all the teachers who prepped me for the next step in life. I feel like I'm well prepared, and I couldn't have done it without them. So, yeah.
Cool. How about you, Neo?
Mom, dad, little brother, especially little brother. He pushes me to just make sure that I'm being the greatest role model I possibly can be, and he always makes me he always reminds me how much I'm given and the opportunities that I have, and just trying to make the most of them. So I'm extremely.
Yeah, almost. We almost made it to the end without losing them. So, hey, that's part of live TV, I guess, or live internet in this case. Donovan, thanks a ton for your time. Best of success to you in the state championships this week. And then as you graduate and move on to West Point, what day is our day this year?
June 27th.
June 27th. Good stuff.
That's
I think mine
up.
was June 28th when I started. So very, very similar. Thanks a lot, Donovan. Go Black Knights fans. This has been Joe Iacono with Donovan Baker and Neo Vossschulte, 2 new commits with the class of 2022. Go Army, beat Navy.